All right, homework 30 starts off with using a graphing calculator to solve a trigonometric equation. And we're going to use the Alex graphing calculator to do this. The calculator is active on Alex. But what you're basically going to do is you're going to type in one equation that's equal to this side, one equation that's equal to this side. So we're going to have one equation that says y equals sine of 2x. And then the other one, y equals negative 0.4x plus 0.9. So you can see how this works. I'm going to go over to the Alex calculator, and so I'm going to grab my paper where I have those written down so I remember what my equations are. And so if I go over here, here's the Alex graphing calculator. If we are going to graph something, we are going to hit the y equals. So y equals. We have to check the ones we're going to graph. We're going to graph two equations, so we want check marks in both of those two things. If you draw your graph and only one's showing up, go back to the y equals and make sure one of the boxes or both of the boxes are checked. So we said first of all we were going to do sine of 2x. So we're going to do sine, and then we're going to do 2, and we're going to use this one that says xt theta n. If we hit that, that's going to put the x in there, and we're going to say sine of 2x. On my other one, it was negative 0.4x. So we can just use the subtraction for the negative. Negative 0.4, again the xt theta. Negative 0.4x plus 0.9. So plus 0.9. Once we have our two equations in there, both of those are checked, we're going to hit graph. So what we're looking for is where do these two things intersect each other. There's 1, 2, 3 intersections, so we're actually going to end up with 3 answers. So what we're going to do in order to find those intersections is we're going to click on this thing here where it says intersect. It's going to bring up some little arrows. We want to drag those arrows close to an intersection. So in this case, I'm going to drag them, it'll let me do it here. It's just close, it doesn't have to be exactly on. Once you're close, you're going to hit intersect, and it's going to tell you both up here and down here what the x value of your intersection is. We on these ones are going to round off to the nearest hundredth, I believe, if I go back and look, round to the nearest hundredth, and so 0.41 is going to be one of our solutions. Now I'm going to write that down, but when I mess with the board, it's going to erase it. Actually, there's my equation popped up. So 0.41 is one of my solutions. Now I'm going to erase that. What I do after that is I am going to hit OK. OK takes me back. Now notice on my graph my line disappeared. That happens sometimes. Just go back to y equals, make sure that second one is checked. For some reason the check mark wants to go away, and hit graph. Now my line should be back on there. I found the first intersection, now I want to find the second intersection. So I'm going to click intersect. I'm going to drag that over close to the second one. Doesn't have to be exactly on, but close. I'm going to click on the word intersect, and then it's going to give me the value both up here and down here. So this one is 1.396. I'd have to round that off to 1.40 then. So our first answer we had was 0.41. Our second answer is 1.40. Again, after you do that, you have to hit OK. Evidently my OK just erased the board. There it was. This time my line stayed. My line's still there, so now I need to find my third intersection. So I just repeat that. I hit the word intersect. I drag that over close to that third intersection. I click intersect down here. 2.9911. So 2.99. And those should be my 3 answers for that question. So again, just going back to our question, then the sine of 2x equals negative 0.4x plus 0.9. We would have those three answers that we got by finding the intersection. 0.41 was the first one we got, 1.40 was the second one we got, and 2.99 was that last one we got. So just as easy as punching it into the calculator and then finding those intersections. All right, so number 2, again, we're going to use the graphing calculator to solve the equation, and we're going to type in two equations. The first one being y equals the cosine of 4x. The second one being y equals 1.6x minus 1.9. And we're going to find the intersections to find out where those two equations have a common solution. So if we go over to the Alex graphing calculator, we are first of all going to hit our y equals to get to our graphing. We're going to do two equations, so I'm going to check y1 and y2. And we said for y1 we were going to do the cosine of 4, and then we're going to use the xt theta, so we have the cosine of 4x there. For y2, we had 1.6x minus 1.9, so 1.6, the xt theta, 1.6x minus 1.9. Got my two equations in there. They both have check marks by them, so they should graph. I'm going to hit my graph. I see I have my graph here. If you'd like, because it kind of looks like it zoomed out a ways, you can hit the zoom. And I'm going to zoom in. There I can see my intersections a little bit better. I'm going to hit OK on that screen. And what we really want to do is the intersect. So we're going to do the intersect. And again, we're going to drag these arrows as close to the first intersection as we can. Doesn't have to be exactly on there, but close. Once we get it close, we're going to click on intersect, and then we're going to look for the x value. The x is at 0.650. We're rounding to the nearest hundredth, so we're just going to use 0.65. So 0.65 would be our first intersection, the first point that those two equations have in common. Once we want to do the next one, we have to hit OK. Oops, did the OK go? There, it went OK. Notice my graph sometimes disappears. Just hit the y equals and recheck that second line. For some strange reason, only the cosine curve wanted to graph. But now that they both have check marks, I can go back to graph, and they're both there. So I did this first intersection. Now I want to do the second one, so I'm going to click intersect. And now I'm going to drag that over to as close to the second one as I can get. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly on there, just close. Click the word intersect, and here we see we have 1.1718, so 1.17 would be our second solution. And then we're going to do the third one, so again we're going to hit OK. Get rid of that stuff on there. We're going to hit intersect again, and then we're going to drag that over to the third intersection once I can get a hold of it, which is up there. We're going to hit intersect again. We're at 1.7135, so 1.7135 would just be 1.71. So again, our three answers there, 0.65 was our first solution, 1.17 was our second solution, and 1.71 was our third solution. So for number 2, where we had the sine, or not the sine, we had cosine. Cosine of 4x equals 1.6x minus 1.9. Those would be the 3 points that those two equations would have in common. And if we go back to number 3. Number 3, we have the sine of x equals negative 0.2x plus 0.5. So our first equation, y just equals the sine of x. Our second equation, y equals negative 0.2x plus 0.5. And again, we want to see where those two lines intersect, or those two equations intersect, so that we can find the solutions that they both would have in common. So going back over to our graphing calculator, I'm going to hit the y equals. I'm going to clear out the top equation, clear out my second equation, and put my new equations in. So the first one was just the sine of x. So sine, the xt theta n key. My second equation was negative 0.2x. Here we use the subtraction for the negative 0.2 xt theta, and then it was plus 0.5. So we got our two equations in there. We hit graph. This one I can only see 1, 2 of my intersections. Normally you'll have 3. There's one there, so now I've got to zoom my screen back out. So I'm going to hit zoom, zoom out. Now I can see all 3 of my intersections. So I'll hit OK. Hit the word intersect. Pull that baby as close to the first intersection as I can. Hit intersect. And it has 0.4274. Since it's 427, I have to round that up to 43. So 0.43 would be the first point that those two equations have in common. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit intersect again. I'm going to drag that over to my next intersection. There we go, somewhere close. See, I'm not even right on there. But when I hit intersect, it pops over to that as close as the next one is. And so we can see this one says 3.02, or 3.302. So 3.30 is going to be our second intersection. 3.302, we'd round off to 3.030. Hit OK. Get rid of that. Hit intersect again, pull it all the way over to that third one, or at least close to the third one. Hit intersect, pops that on there, 5.611. So 5.61 would be our third intersection. So again, our first one was 0.43. Our second one was 3.30. Our third one's 5.61. And that was for the equation on number 3, sine of x equal negative 0.2x plus 0.5.